Welcome back to ILI's History Makers podcast. Today we are joined with Lee Stevenson. He is a pastor, and in our last episode, we had a great conversation with his wife, Judy, and together they co pastor a church here in the Georgia area. So, Lee, it is nice to have you. Welcome.
Thank you, Shannon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Judy shared a little bit about your calling and how you guys landed at Macklin Community Church, but I'd love to hear your perspective and what that was like for you.
It was just awesome seeing God provide a way for us
Hmm.
and have a calling for us to come to Georgia. I'm sitting in the town where my mother went to college,
Wow.
and both my parents are from Georgia, so it's kind of like I'm back on the family land.
Right.
Raised in Tennessee, and now I'm in Georgia. Judy and I both felt it was time for us to leave the denomination that we're in.
Hmm.
She shared about how we had an interview process and that call from the older pastor hearing from the Holy Spirit, and then within 5 weeks we're in Georgia, having sold a house, and the guy across who lived across the street from us in Tennessee owned a moving company, and we developed a really good relationship. And I told him that we were moving, and he said, "I'll move you, and all you have to do is pay for the trucks."
Wow.
So that's just a sampling
Yeah.
of that and finding a rental house really quick.
Hmm.
Just amazing how God provided for us to
Yeah.
come to Powder Springs, Georgia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great. Sometimes my stories get too long because I feel like all those little details matter. And next thing I know, I've been talking for too long and like wrap it up here. I'm like,
right.
oh, but there was so much that God did.
Yes.
That's encouraging. So, together, the two of you have really been stewarding an outpouring in your church where people have been mobilized by God. And your wife was sharing how she's just really identifying what God's already doing, and kind of you guys are giving some language around that. And so, I know with you, we kind of discussed earlier that you have a strong passion for the harvest and for evangelism. And so, how have you seen those qualities within your community and your church?
Yeah, being a new church in a new denomination, who it's my heart that we would recover some of the systems and the calling and the passion
Mhm.
that we Methodists had
Yeah.
from the beginning.
Mhm.
And Methodism in the beginning was about seeing the lost saved
Right.
and sharing personal testimonies of how God is moving.
Mhm.
And what happened over the years is that we established some boards and committees and agencies to do that for us.
Right.
And the passion for seeing people saved was not in the pews any longer. We
Mm.
we relied on other people to do that for us. And so in this movement of a new congregation and a new denomination, who we're seeking to to fulfill Jesus' mission in the church again in a Wesleyan flavor. It's just awesome to be in a place where people are hungry and
Mhm.
receptive for that.
Yeah.
The passion for the harvest piece. We as Macklin Community Church, we have an alarm set for 9:37, and at 9:37 our alarms go off. That's a.m. or p.m. And it's a reminder for us to pray for work we are beseeching the Lord of the harvest to send
Mhm.
workers.
Right.
And so it's a reminder that while we are working in the fields of the harvest, we are asking the Lord to send more workers.
Mhm.
Uh, 2,000 years ago, Jesus said, "The harvest is plentiful."
Right.
And for 2,000 years, the harvest is plentiful, and it still is plentiful.
Yes, it is.
So we are asking the Lord to send more workers while we ourselves are working in the
Yeah.
harvest.
And somebody prayed for you,
So
you know?
I think a lot of people prayed for me, particularly those that knew me as an elementary and middle school kid. A
Right.
lot of people.
Yeah, yeah. And your church has done something really interesting to rally around the two of you as pastors when it comes to making sure that you're still out there being able to minister, whether it's locally in the States or overseas. And what is it that they did that has really benefited for you?
Yeah, we operate our missions budget as part of our send and engage system of our discipleship system.
Mhm.
We have a missions budget that's separate from our operating budget, and each year we do what's called a faith promise. And so for a month, we are praying, Holy Spirit, give us a number
Mhm.
that we will commit to give. As you're giving it to us, we'll commit to give that to
Right.
fund our missions. And so our church is now we're about 15 months old.
Mhm.
So last year was our first faith promise, and we thought we might get in $30,000,
Right.
and we ended up getting around sixty thousand
Wow.
dollars. And then while we were gone on a mission trip, we had that faith promise mission celebration Sunday, and the number that came in was $158,000
Wow.
that our folks have committed by faith promise. That's
Mhm.
different than committing to the general budget. But it's
Right.
a Lord, you have given us individuals, family, couples, this number that you want to provide for us.
Mhm.
So the question is, how does God provide that? So
Mhm.
when Judy and I do a funeral or a wedding, or when we receive money for a birthday, that's the money that we use to go to the faith promise.
Right.
So I was able to take the birthday check that my mama gave me and give that to faith promise.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And I love to see that your church is actually passionate about it because if you see, you went, I mean, you've over more than doubled in 1 year that faith promise amount. Not that the dollars don't necessarily show growth, but at the same time, it kind of does. It's showing that passion. And so, how have you been able to keep missions in the forefront of your church? Because I'll confess, the job I have here at ILI, I work with a lot of missions pastors. And I will say one of the things missions pastors desires that their senior pastors would be as hungry for missions as they are. And it wouldn't just be their job, but it would be something they can co labor with. And so you guys are the senior pastors of your church. And so what is co-laboring with your mission director and keeping it in front of the congregation? What does that look like for you guys?
I think it has to go back to Jesus' original calling to the church
Mhm.
for us to go, or some folks say the Greek says, "As you are going, make disciples."
Mm,
And so it's a little bit of lifestyle evangelism for every member,
mhm.
as well as a team who plans and mobilizes people to go.
Right,
So a little bit of it is kind of a both and. So it's neither or. It has to be in the DNA of the church.
right,
We inherited we're a new church plant, but we're not new Christians,
right.
and so we're a church plant ish
Mhm.
kind of people. And so the folks who planted our church had mission and DNA in them, and so we were able to come alongside that, and it's just partnering with them with Jesus to make this happen. Um, I think about part of making disciples. I would just go back to passion for the harvest and sharing your story, and so part of the history makers and the core values is sharing your story, and
Right.
so we've done that at different times with different curriculums, and sharing that, and it's catching on.
Mm.
Um, so just this week at our leadership council meeting, we took about 45 minutes, and every person on the leadership council shared their testimony in about 3 minutes,
Wow.
and even though we might be shy
Mhm.
individuals, if we practice that in the church, then
Yeah,
it becomes more natural
absolutely.
as we go.
Right.
And we talk about as we going. So what does that mean? That's at work, that's at school, that's with family, that's as being a grandparent, that's
Mhm.
while you're in the store,
Right.
it's while you're at work, it's while you're at your kids' ball field. And so it's that the gospel and sharing the gospel is at the center of your life,
Mhm.
and you do that in the midst of everything versus oh, there's an evangelism committee in our church that
Mm.
does that for us. We
Yes.
can't have it do that for us. It has to be us that
Right.
do that.
Right.
And so it flows from there as an expectation for our membership. that if you're going to be a member of Macklin Community Church, you support the church with your prayers, presence, gifts, service, and witness. We've just built in and asked our every small group to have a mission partner.
Mm.
We have mission partners through our missions team, and we want people to be on hands on as much as
Right.
they can.
Yeah.
And so that's neighbors and nations.
Mhm.
So we have that. We have a ministry partner that is in Marietta, Georgia, and their mission is to help people get out of poverty. And we have folks who go hands on, serve dinner at their meetings.
Mm.
And just this week on Tuesday night, they had their graduation in our
Oh.
facility.
Oh.
And so that was another chance for our people to be in the parking lot, to welcome, to guide, to direct,
Right.
to serve the food, to celebrate with them in their graduation.
Right.
Um, so it's moving your missions team from sending checks, which that financial part's important,
Right.
but let's take it to the next level. Where's the
Right.
relationship
Yeah.
and be in relationship?
Yeah.
And so it becomes a movement within in the neighborhood and in the nations
Mhm.
with I think it's 9 mission trips
Wow.
that we are either leading through our church or we've partnered with another organization
Mhm.
who's doing ministry that we've offered that mission trip to our people.
That's incredible. I love what you said about the building relationships between the small groups and your people and the missions committees and the ministries that you support. One of the things here at the office at ILI is they're always encouraging us to have transformational relationships, not transactional ones. That
Yes.
the transformational ones are lasting, and you're not just getting something and not just giving something, but it's a two-way street there where we're able to serve and people serve us. However, so I really appreciate that perspective from you. That's really good.
We see that in benevolent funds in
Mhm.
churches that I've served. You have a benevolent fund to help folks who need to pay a bill or a medical bill,
Right.
and those are so easy to be transactional.
Mhm.
And even the people that you're trying to help, they don't want the relationship, even if the
Right.
church wants that relationship.
Yeah.
But figuring out a way that you can do ministry that is not buffet style, running people through a buffet style, but
Exactly.
you're sitting down at the table and eating with them. So
Right.
there's thousands of analogies you can use, but
Yeah.
that relationship piece, particularly with people that aren't like you,
Mhm.
is important.
Yeah, it really is. So when we had lunch today, um, you shared a little bit of something that your church has done out of just a prayer between you and your wife and your missions committee about keeping you guys in the mission field and keeping your fire fresh. And I don't know if I've ever heard of a church doing it so deliberately. So I'd love for you to share. Maybe people watching will take this idea and also incorporate it into their churches. So I'd love for you to share about that.
Yeah, so we had all those mission trips
Mhm.
that we were planning, and the people who were leading those trips or connected to that ministry were like, "We want Pastor Lee and Pastor Judy to go with us." And so all of a sudden, we're filling up our calendar, and then you think, how do you pay for that?
Right.
So we went to our missions team and our leadership council and said, if you want us to go on these mission trips, then we need some funding
Right.
for that. Uh, and and so the missions team out of that faith promise send us with the teams on mission. Now we're not doing all of them,
Right.
but we're doing a select handful. And I think, Shannon, that I went through a big dry spell of not being on mission.
Mhm.
And as a senior pastor, and my last two churches were downtown high steeple formal churches, and you get into the administrative 501c3 work
Mhm.
so much, um, leading, managing staff, just all the stuff you get into as a pastor, and you and you and you start for me anyway, I stopped having my own stories
Mm.
to tell from the pulpit. And I started seeing myself telling other people's stories more than I'm telling my own stories.
Right.
And so for pastors, I think it's important for us to have fresh new experiences that we're able to live into and share.
Mhm.
And for me, I'm not growing in my relationship with Jesus unless I'm serving.
Right.
And yes, I can serve in those administrative ways, but get outside the walls of the church and
Mm,
meet some folks who are in need,
yeah,
and serve folks that aren't like us, and see new parts of the world,
yeah,
and meet brothers and sisters um, who are just living totally different lives
right,
than us. It impacts you,
yeah,
and it helps you grow in your relationship to Christ.
right. I really appreciate them coming alongside and giving you guys that avenue, especially because, like you said, you can get in those dry spells and you need something to pull you out and remind you of the why sometimes, you
Mhm.
know? And I think pastors sometimes are afraid to say, I've lost the why, because what does that mean? And so I think it's great that you guys have that avenue. And I'm sure you've heard this before. I'm sure people watching have heard this before. But if you want your church to be about something, you've got to be about it,
Mhm.
you know? And so it's encouraging to see you guys being about something and seeing the fruit from that. Um, what are some practical things that you've seen work in your church as you're getting them more mission minded and focusing on discipleship? What are some things that you think you've implemented that kind of help stir that along?
I think one of the things we've done, or a couple things we've done, is we have a yearly missions celebration.
Mm,
And so we bring in our mission partners. And when I say mission partners, this is local and global.
mhm,
And some of those are organizations, some are missionaries.
mhm,
And we have it's kind of like a mission fair, as well as some preaching about missions. And that's where we do our faith promise ask and call for that. And so at least once a year, there's a big missions. Big missions moment
mhm,
in the life of the church. The other thing that we've done, s- many churches that have been around for a while, they have and have children in the worship service. They have a children's message,
mhm.
and so instead of having children's message every Sunday, we have what we call Macklin Moment.
Ah, okay.
And a Macklin Moment can be children's message, and
Mhm.
often it is. But then often it is someone sharing about the mission they're involved in.
Ah, okay.
And also maybe even an in-house on-campus service opportunity, like our trustees at Macklin at our church. Our people are the custodians and the lawn care, and so there's always we're getting ready to cut grass again,
Right.
and so there's an ask to join one of these teams
Mhm.
during the missions moment because to fulfill your membership vows, prayers, presence, gifts, service, and witness, and
Right.
so you can serve on campus, you can serve off campus. So that those two things are pretty important. And then and through our spiritual formation team, we do leadership training for our small groups.
Mm,
And one of the requirements for our small groups to be considered a small group is that you have a mission partner. And we have some of those small groups who will go and serve together.
right.
We have others that are providing for organizations to do what they do.
Mhm.
We have a mission partner that ministers to women who are staying in hotels. Some of them are being trafficked. Some of them are prostitutes,
Mm,
and this ministry provides a safe place for them to have a meal,
mm.
and not a buffet meal, but a sit
Right.
down meal with someone who will talk to them.
Wow.
And their kids go to school, and then their kids come back off the school bus. And we have small groups who are packing
Mm.
supper bags
Wow.
for this organization to hand out to these kids.
Yeah,
And so part of it, you want folks to do that hands on
you
because
do.
that's where the transformation happens. But
Absolutely.
there's also organizations who have needs. Some of that's provision. Some of that is the sack lunch.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. I really find great encouragement in that. I can see how God will keep groups together even as they see God using them and using their gifts. You know, that's one of the things I think sometimes in churches, there's no place for people to use the gifts they have. I even remember when I was younger in my faith being like, where can I go serve where I just really enjoy filling up people's tea and serving them and loving on them, making them laugh? Like, where's a place for a person like that at church, you know? But there is a place, you know, and what you're saying is you're opening many avenues for people to find their place in the kingdom and to use their gifts. So,
So many times I've seen, particularly youth, you can take youth who don't know each other well, put them in a couple of vans, 15-passenger vans, take them on a mission trip. And this really happened a few churches ago. We took our youth to Chicago, and they served as Salvation Army in side of Chicago, served the teenagers there. And so that 8-hour ride, the week together,
mhm,
hearing the stories of the youth who were growing up in Southside Chicago with my brother got killed, drive-by
right.
shootings, all those kind of things, putting them back in having those powerful moments, worship moments, driving them back to Tennessee. You have a brand new youth group
Yeah.
that is at a level uh, in relationship with the Lord and with each other.
Yep.
And I remember we got back and those youth didn't want to leave each other.
Mm.
And they themselves planned a pool party.
Wow.
And how does that happen? It happens because you're serving Jesus together. Now,
Mhm.
I remember what Jesus says in Matthew 25. You serve them, you serve me. And so when we together serve Jesus and the people we're serving, there's a bonding that happens that that is far deeper and transformational than just being in a classroom
Mhm.
together for an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I know we have a little bit of time left, and this may put you on the spot. If it does, I'm sorry. Um, but I was just thinking, you're so passionate about it. Like your passion is just coming through as you're sharing. And so, what would you say to encourage someone that maybe they are in a dry space, maybe they're a missions pastor, or maybe a senior pastor in the church they're pastoring or shepherding, just they're not for missions at all, and you're in a different season now. You went through the dry season, but now you're seeing the blessings, and so I don't know, maybe if you had some encouragement, maybe to offer a pastor or a leader, even what they can do to kind of take that next step.
I know the dry season,
Mm-hmm.
and I know the church that doesn't want to do anything, and I know the church that when you start doing something, they wonder why, even when it's successful.
Mm.
I know the church that when it becomes successful, they're not really happy that it became successful.
Wow.
It's are we building our castle or are we building the kingdom
Right.
mindset? So, uh, real story, had a church that we started a food pantry in it. We're kind of a rural church. Started a food pantry, and it was going really good. And I had a leader say, "How do we know these people need this food?"
Mm.
And I said, "They ask for it." And but in that church, I was in that dry spell, no movement missionally, and so I went to the county seat town, and I found a place to serve myself.
Wow.
And so in that organization, it went from I was in the shelving room where the food is to I became an intake interviewer, see how we can help the person the best.
Mhm.
And so I just found a place to serve,
Right.
but because if that calling of discipleship, number one, it's on you as a pastor, as a missions pastor,
Mhm.
and if your church isn't moving in that, just go do it.
Yeah.
Just find somewhere and go do it,
Wow.
and know that you're doing your job, going and doing it,
Yeah.
and then you doing it, and then there's the stories, and then you can come and tell,
Yep.
and then you can say, "Come and join me."
Yeah. You remind me of I know you go to Exponential Conference, and I didn't go this year, but the prior year I was able to attend. And I think the moment that stuck with me the most of that entire conference was when one of the speakers came up. I think it was in one of the first 5 minutes of his talk, and he said, "If you want to know why your church isn't evangelizing, look in the mirror.
Mhm,
If you're not evangelizing, your church isn't going to
mhm,
evangelize." And I was like, wow. I mean, even for me, it's just, I'm not a pastor, but if I want my kids to evangelize, I should be doing it. I love that. Just go and do it. That's incredible. What good advice that is. So, if there's anything else you'd like to say, go for it. Otherwise, it's been nice having you. Thank you for sharing your birthday with us. It's been just wonderful. Um, and yeah, so I guess we'll see you hopefully in a couple years, like I told Judy at the end, seeing all the things that God's done, the ministries that are going to be birthed out of you guys, the youth's lives are going to be changed. It's just, um, we definitely see God's favor on your church and how He's pouring it out. And so, thank you for
Amen.
not being afraid to share that beginning parts with us. We really appreciate it. So to those of you guys that are joining us, thank you for joining us, letting us know. Let us know in the comments maybe where you're at on your journey. If you found this encouraging, let us know. We hope that wherever you are, whether you're seeing God's outpouring, whether you find yourself maybe in a dry spell, you'll take Lee's advice and just get out there and do it. Whether you've got people with you or not, it reminds me of that song, "Though none go with me, still I will follow." And so, if you're in a dry season and you just don't know where to go, just get out and serve somebody. And God will show up. And then next thing you know, you'll be leading a new movement. So thank you guys for tuning in. We've really appreciated you listening to this conversation.